something in me just knew that this was right. And I'm going, this is what lights me up. This is what I want to do.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Inside Out Career Design podcast. My name is Nicola Vetter, and I'm here with my co-host and husband, Peter Axtell. And our guest today is Adrian Salisbury. Adrian is best known for helping online coaches and content creators look and feel professional on video through his program Impact. He also runs the hugely popular Ecamm Live Academy and YouTube Academy as live cohort-based courses twice a year.
Both of which we've been part of, and that they have helped us set up our podcast on YouTube the way you see it today. So everybody who's just listened to this podcast, go check it out on YouTube and see both of our professional setups.
We were truly excited to have Adrian on, to also learn about another unknown side of him. And in our conversation, we talk about how a strong work ethic coupled with an unshakable spiritual belief helped him persevere through some dark times on the way to success. The backstory of what it means to be an entrepreneur, the highs, lows, and plateaus. How a chance advertisement on Facebook came at just the right time with the help he needed. Why it's wise to stick with teachers you trust and not chase the next shiny object. Why it's important to listen to messages coming from your intuition. And the timeless lesson to be of service to people and not chase a quick buck if you want to be successful for the long term. And now, it's time to listen and learn from Adrian. Welcome, Adrian. We are happy to have the opportunity to dive into a different world with you today. The world of a successful YouTube entrepreneur. And it's going to be a bit different as we want to know who that person Adrian is. What makes you you? Even though you've been on YouTube with your own channel for 10 years now, with over 500 videos, we could not find a single interview shining a light on the person behind the scenes, behind the teaching.
Yeah.
I have a question. I don't know if you've ever been asked this, Adrian. What was it like growing up with a father who's a minister?
I actually grew up with a very strong work ethic. My dad was not only, so he was a lay pastor, if you like, in the church he was in. He's an elder there. He would be preaching, probably every other weekend he's preaching somewhere. But he was also running a business. He had a landscaping business. He worked really hard in that. I saw a role model who was getting up at 7 a.m, working into the evening, 6 days a week, very much if you want success, if you want to make it, you've got to work hard at it. A great role model, really.
Oh, that's fascinating. So what lessons did your parents teach you that you think are still with you today? We talked about the work ethic. Anything else?
Absolutely. In the business, I was in an office, my dad, my mum, myself, and another lady in the office there. It really helped me when I came to set up my own business. When I left there, mine was a mini version of that in terms of how we did the invoicing, we sorted out the accounts, we dealt with customers, everything that I'd learned from him. I can remember the milkman coming in into the business when, I used to come in every morning and drop the milk off there in this little office that we had. As I say, it was about 30 men that used to be there in the mornings, and then they would head off out to their sites around the city and then come back in at night. And I remember the milkman coming in and just going, there's just a lovely vibe, a lovely energy in this place. It always seems nice when I come here and happy. And I think there was that. I grew up around positive people, really, and customers always came first. that yeah, for sure, that's been ingrained in me, and seen that as I've been working alongside them and living alongside them, obviously, as well.
So now I know why your reputation is so strong about you being a really nice, honest, ethical person. We're going to talk about what a great teacher you are later. So that modeling sounds like came from there, and that's where it comes from. That's so, because this actually shows up in your business today, actually shows up on camera. That's
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
My mum's actually the one, my mum's always had this lovely, friendly personality. She knows everybody, she's a great friend to everybody. My dad was the hard worker. And yes, while he still had that same kind of personality, he was the businessman, and mum sat alongside very much, doing the accounts and things, and helping him out in the business. But the personality really has come from my mum. And I've sort of taken, hopefully, some of the business skills that I've learned from my dad as well. I've never been asked about my parents before. That's definitely a first, yeah.
I don't know what Peter was thinking.
This is what we do. We go.
Start this interview off like that.
We go where we go. Yeah.
Adrian, you told us in our pre-call that you've had some dark nights of the soul, like most people in our audience as well. And we call them the what's next moments. So I'd like you to share, what were you going through, and what led up to those moments in your life?
Yeah. Well, as we've been talking about my parents and working in a business with them, let me kind of start there, because that was probably one of the biggest of those moments. I'd started out, I left school and went and did a management program in a store, electrical store, and did very well in that, was enjoying it, was a manager in a shop I was the youngest in the area, in the region at the time. But I'd come to a point, I was ready for a change. My parents were in this landscaping business. They tried to sell it. A buyout deal that went bad. It caused huge amount of stress for my parents. And I had an opportunity to take a redundancy, a voluntary redundancy at my work. And I thought I could do this, and I can go and help my parents in the business, and really to come in and help them with the sales, with the front end things. I was never overly keen on getting my hands dirty in the garden, but the machine needed feeding. So I was very happy to do some of the front end things, be the face of the business to new customers. And so this was all good. I worked with them for about 7 years. And then my dad kind of dropped this bombshell that I should have been thinking of, that he was thinking of retiring. I mentioned earlier he wanted to retire so he could do more in the ministry at the church. And I was to take over this business. And I was about 29 at the time. And I just had this horrible feeling of, this isn't what I want to do. I didn't feel equipped for it. The guys that are out on site knew the job inside out. I'm the boss's son. It always felt like that. And the hiring, the firing, I just thought, I don't want to do this. With the thought of me running this without my dad being there, just sent me into a very dark place. Thankfully, my dad was incredible and said to me, look, almost felt guilty for putting me in this corner, really. There wasn't anything else I could go off and do that would have suited from here. And he said to me, well, what do you want to do? We'll help you. We'll support you however you want. And we'd just recently had a website built. I really enjoyed the process. I kind of worked alongside the developer that was doing the thing. And so I said to my dad, I'd really like to build websites for people and start that as a business. Bringing in my photography as well. I knew I could use that and do some work with that. And he was incredible. He said to me, you stay on a full-time salary. I was married, supporting my daughter as well at the time. You stay on, we'll still pay you, and you can kind of go off and do this. What training do you need? And I went and did a webmaster course, a few days a week. I couldn't have done it without him. And I look back at so many points along my journey where, because my dad had worked hard, because he'd been successful in a business, he was able to put money in our bank account, support me, help me financially. I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for those points. So for me, leaning very much on that, I don't know what I'd have done if he'd have said, no, that's up to you. You go and sort that out if you don't want to stay in the business. I don't know what I'd have done. I probably would have gone back to working in a shop or something like that. So yeah, I really thank my dad for that, and went on and did this business with websites. We did virtual tours, 360-degree virtual tours like you see in hotels and things. It was a big one for me. And photography. And the photography really was the work that seemed to be coming through regularly. So that became the main thing I was doing. But it was always a month to month, that kind of, we're just about paid off the bills, let's go again, and chasing down that. I was never in a position where we were like, I hadn't even got a pension assigned to us. And that was actually when I first had this taste of the online world, was while I'm out driving around to sites all the time, I actually came across Pat Flynn. I feel I owe everything to Pat Flynn with his Smart Passive Income podcast. I'm trying to think how many episodes it would have been in, but I went right back to the start. And while I'm driving around, I'm just learning all this, going, I want some of this. This sounds really exciting. And back then I'm thinking, well, if that brings in some money on the side, maybe that can go towards a pension while I'm out doing this. But again, I hit another point really where I thought, I'm driving around like this and I'm thinking, photography is a young man's game. This is, what am I going to do when I get to 55, 60? No one's going to want me coming around doing photography for them. The young trendy guys are doing all this. So again, that kind of panic of, okay, maybe I could pursue this and this could actually be the thing I do rather than seeing it just as a little side earner. But yeah, it's tough, isn't it? When you kind of hit these points and go, what do I do?
Yes. We actually hit a point like that as well at the very beginning when we met. We were making films, purpose films for people, and we had, and for companies, and we had had to lug, I don't know, 9 bags of film equipment to Germany from the US.
On the plane.
Oh, really?
And so I could really relate to what you said. When you're getting older, this is heavy stuff.
Yeah. And it's interesting. One of the questions I was going to ask you, so you've never been used to having, in a way, a steady paycheck. You never worked for British Telecom or something, and here's my paycheck, and all, because that's just not how you've been been built.
I did. That first job was a salary. While I was with my parents, that was a salary. But me going on my own, that was pretty scary from the get-go, really. It's exciting when all of a sudden you see a £10,000 job and you think, oh, that's all coming to me. I'm not just getting my wage, I get all of this extra. And but I've never enjoyed the selling side of it and showing up, turning up to clients and doing quotes and then sitting waiting going, oh, I hope I get this job. And
what kept you persevering, do you think?
Knowing that I had to do it. I've got a wife and kids, and and it was a lot of hard work. I'd be quite often working weekends. I actually, where are we? My daughter would have, what's she now? 26. She was probably about 1 or even younger. I can remember the first time going to the doctor with IBS, irritable bowel. And I remember him looking, and there's nothing wrong with me, checking all this out, and he put it down to stress. Was asking what do I do to unwind? What's my hobby? And I kind of laughed and went, I got a wife and kids. I don't have time for a hobby. You're kidding. I've got to work, and to be honest, most of that time, and not to say that we had nice holidays and things, and it was we weren't poor by any, but it was always that pressure. It was always there of trying to pay the bills. And yeah, never like it. I mean, that's true for everybody, isn't it? But it's a real tension and a real drive. You've got to be out there. You've got to be getting these jobs in. We've got bills to pay at the end of the month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, and this is actually the main question we are seeking to answer on this podcast. Is it possible to find an authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling life you love while building a successful and rewarding career? And so I'm really curious. You touched on it before with just now with Pat Flynn and the online world and smart passive income. How have you navigated those two parts, finding meaning and paying the bills? Because this is the next phase in your life that's coming up now.
It is. Yeah. And this is the exciting, this is the happy phase. Well, there's a phase before the happy phase.
Start where you want.
So, yeah, I'd been a photographer then since about 2002. I'd been trying things on the line. I'm listening to Pat and others that are telling me about these different things, ways that you can do websites or blogs and, you know, talk about stuff. People come along and you can advertise or all different ways, affiliate work. Photography was my thing. I love to help people with photography. I would be, if I was walking around, you know, if we're on holiday and I can see somebody awkwardly holding their camera, everything in me wanted to go up to them and go, can I just help you with that? You know, because it's really, so I think I've always had this natural ability to teach things, always helping my parents with something on their phone that they don't understand, or, you know, and my mum would always go, I just get what you say. You know, I've been talking to this IT person and I haven't got a clue what he was saying, but you seem to say it in a really clear way. And so I think these little things are in my mind that I'm going, okay, I can teach. So I used to help people. I started doing some Saturday workshops with friends and family that used to come and say, you know, can you help me out with this camera? And we'd do a day's training of getting started with a SLR camera. Then I shifted. So we were 2017. I said to Rach, where are we? It was 2017. Yeah. I said, it's always quiet for us in the winter, you know, December, January, nobody wants us in doing the photography. So I said, right, I want to carve January out. I want to build this photography course. I'd already been doing a Facebook group that was like attracting photographers. We did monthly challenges. It was totally free. And I thought, right, I've got an audience here. I'm going to build this course and I'm going to sell it and we're going to be going. So I took January off, built this course out. Kickstarter actually was the idea. I didn't know anything about online courses really, but I thought, okay, I'll do a Kickstarter thing. I'll get people to buy in early. And I went back to this group that I'd been doing the photography with. And one guy actually said, he messaged me and he went, because I said, right, I've got this course. If you want to join, it's going to be £20 a month to come in. And he messaged me and he went, why did you just go weird on us? Why have you asked us to pay for this now? You know, we've been doing this. This is stuff I can get on YouTube for free. And it crushed me. I was like, it's not going to work. How are you supposed to sell this course? I've got no idea where to go. That's when I spotted James Wedmore with Business by Design. That came up. I think that must have been about the April of that year that I spotted him doing this advert that I came across on Facebook. And he's talking about this. You created an online course, you launch it, and then crickets. He says, you know, there's nothing. And what are you supposed to do? And then he goes on, you know, that's obviously the sell of it really is join Business by Design and we can help you get this course out and sell it.
What you said I think is a good lesson for people to know. You gave stuff away for free, thought it was going to be Bob's your uncle, and then said, hey, now I've got for free, now I don't want to pay for it. And then what you did is you went and got skillful training. You went and picked somebody, because we are James Wedmore people fans as well, and you actually picked a reputable person who could teach you how to do this properly, rather than, I'll just figure out looking on the YouTube videos and I'll get this thing and I'll try and piece this together and do all. And we know enough about James now, of course, that somebody who can teach that skillfully, and if you follow all the instructions, then it can work. And I think many people just say, I'll just try this and flounder around, and you're going to fail because there is so much, so much to this. And the other thing I wanted to say is you had this natural love and this natural talent, what people would call the zone of genius. I just love to teach. Or give me that camera here. Let me show you how to pick the stuff on here. Give me that thing. I'm sure you didn't do it that way. I'm sure, Adrian, you were very polite and nice about it. but that inside you, this natural talent that you have is so beautiful to hear, because that's you.
And I think that's important. As I'm just going to say, if you're coming at this going, right, I can make money doing this, give me a topic and I'll talk about it because my goal is making money. But I think if you naturally come at this going, I want to serve, I want to help people, I want to see them succeed in photography, and I'd love them to be taking great family photos or whatever it is. The money follows. If you're doing this for the right reasons, really. And I think that would be encouraging for people to know. Don't try to go chase down a topic or a niche that isn't particularly relevant or fitting. It wants to be something you're passionate about, and you can really, happily show up and do this stuff for free. It's a bonus that you get paid for it. That's the sort of, if you can come at it like that, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if I have my dates right about you, then you started with your YouTube channel 10 years ago. And then in 2017, so that would be after having served for free on the YouTube channel for 4 to 5 years, that's when you started asking for money.
Yeah. So we were putting tutorials and things up. I would take a camera, for instance, and I would do little videos on how to set the focus, how to adjust the ISO, how to do the shutter speed. And I would do like a little mini series, and they actually still get views today. I get people message me going, oh, thank you for that. And I think, this is like an 8-year-old, 10-year-old camera, but it's still relevant because somebody passes it down or they get it out and think, oh, I'm going to take some photos of the grandkids now. How do I do this? So YouTube's fantastic for that. And we can come on to that.
And the principles often stay the same. Right?
Yes.
At least within this time frame. And you obviously love to teach. It shows through every pore of your being. And you're a wonderful teacher, and we know that firsthand because we've taken your courses. And we owe a depth of gratitude, as you taught us so much about YouTube and Ecamm, and we'll put all those links in the show notes.
Yeah.
I want to know, was teaching always a passion of yours, or did you discover that gift later?
I think it was
then?
more discovering it as I don't think I enjoyed helping people. I think I probably just defined it as that. I'm a nice guy. If I can help you, I will. I don't know that I really saw it as, if you'd have said you've got a real natural talent for teaching, I probably would have had to think about it and then maybe process and go, okay, yeah, that does make sense. But yeah, I think, to me, it wasn't so much teaching people. I guess in my mind, it was, I'm just helping somebody with something that I can do.
I want to, before we move on, to anyone who's listening to this about doing what you love and maybe doing a YouTube channel, which we'll talk about later. A key thing to know, what you said, it's not enough to just say, hey, I just love to do this and I love to help people and all that. If you had not taken James Wedmore's course to figure out what are all the nuts and bolts to actually make something beyond what you love to do in a dream, to make that into reality, I think that's why most people fail. Yeah,
for sure. And it's very, I mean, this was kind of my next point leads nicely on actually to, this was a big decision for us to invest in James Wedmore. Yes, I'd been watching, as I say, I'm listening to podcasts and things, but for me, I'm a photographer. I want to do this online thing. A lot of my friends, family are going, who makes money doing that? That's crazy. Wasn't getting any support from anyone around me. So the idea of investing, I think it would have been about $2,000 at the time to join Business by Design. I'm looking at this thing. I'm thinking, my wife Rachel is not going to go for this. I'm trying to say to her, I want to invest in this thing that we've made no money out of yet. But something in me just knew that this was right, and I'm going, this is what lights me up. This is what I want to do. And here's a guy that is promising, he's going to be able to help me do this. So I actually said to Rach, could we take out a loan? Would she trust me to take out a loan, £10,000, so that I could buy Business by Design and switch off from the photography business for 3 months? So, not worry about income coming in. That's all sorted. I just want to get down here and get clear on this one. And she'd agreed to it. And I think the next day was cart close day. I'm out in the morning. I was walking the dog, having a bit of a prayer walk. My faith's important to me, and I just didn't love that space to get out. And I got this ping on my phone. My mum's texted me, check your bank account. And I looked at my bank account, and they'd put £10,000 into it. Exactly what I'd just been saying the night before to my wife. I called my mum up and said, what is this? And she said, well, Dad's not here at the minute, but he'll tell you, he's been up the last couple of nights and has really felt troubled. And he said, he told me later himself, I really felt God was telling me to support you and put this £10,000 into your bank. And I just sobbed. It was for me such a, and I realize that's not everybody can take this and apply it, but for me, it was just a massive green light and a confirmation that where I'm going, I really want to do this. I just felt a real answer to prayer for me to say, yeah, there you go. This is the path you should be going down. So that was a huge point for me.
So Adrian, how long did it take you then so you said you wanted to allocate 3 months,
yeah,
and the money.
Yeah.
How long did it take you then till you made a first dime on that business?
Yeah, well, me being me, I got inside of Business by Design, started consuming all the content. As you know, the experience is all very exciting. I was ready to put this photography course online. And as I was doing lives and talking in the group, people were reaching out to me and saying, how come you look so good on video? Why do you stand out and look so sharp? I mean, it's become more normal now, but back then, most people were just on a poor webcam and hadn't really thought of connecting cameras and things up. And so I said, okay, I've got a community here of entrepreneurs that are all trying to get their businesses going. And one key thing is that they all need to be looking good on video. So I created my Impact, or Pro Video Academy, as it was called then. We've just recently rebranded it as Impact. And so I built this course out. I didn't correctly do it. I know James teaches to kind of sell it before you make it. I wanted to make this thing first. Maybe that's partly procrastinating, but I built this little course out for teaching video, and I launched it. And we actually did, I think we probably had about 10 people come and join in this first month of opening it up. And fantastic. I was getting some great videos back, testimonials, hearing back from people. I'd like to say I stuck to it and I did what I was told. And, the thing sort of took off from there. Sadly, I kind of panicked a bit. And although people were buying, I was doing webinars. Sometimes I'm doing webinars one after another and no one's showing up or nobody's buying. And partly because I was in this Business by Design group where everyone's posting in all these great successes, and they're my audience very much. So again, unique for me. I'm trying to attract these guys. I want to give off this perception that I'm being successful. And I didn't want to be saying to them, actually, I've just done a whole load of launches and no one's buying, because I didn't want them going, well, I don't want to buy it if nobody else has. This is all going on in my... So I kind of shrunk back a bit. I ended up going back and picking up a lot of the photography work and things that I knew I could do, and would just really dabble in and out of this on weekends. So yeah, I was in that, one foot in, although I'd paid for this, we'd more than, I got up to about 50 customers over maybe 18 months. We had about 50 customers come in and through, but it wasn't enough. And I kept getting pulled back into the photography that I knew would put decent money into the bank. It's been a journey.
I want to point out one more thing. You said you wanted to help the entrepreneurs that so they can look good on camera, sound good, and all of that. This is actually important for everyone, especially also for people that are trying to find a new job.
Yeah.
Because if they only knew, I mean, we hear a lot, if they only knew how bad they look and sound when they have an interview on Zoom, it's insane. And if they want to stand out and just knew some of the things that you are teaching, we're teaching some of that in our program as well. But if they just knew, then it could make such a big difference. Yeah. So you are doing great work, not only for entrepreneurs, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always hard to define, really. I did a speaking event virtually into a group of lawyers in Toronto earlier in the year. You're absolutely right. These are guys that when they're meeting in person, they turn up in these very expensive suits. The image is very important, but they're stuck on a webcam going, how do I look better than this? And so we did this great presentation into them. It was well received, and really just saying how you can set up. We're both doing this from home. Well, I assume you are. I certainly am. This kind of a setup can absolutely be done, and you can give this very professional look in a fairly simple way. And that's always been my passion, is breaking down this barrier. I hate to hear people saying, "Oh, I've got this camera, but I just use my phone because it's better." And I think, no, that's terrible. Let's get that camera out. Let's work out how to use it. And
that leads me actually to another point, COVID.
Yes.
Because I think that was quite another what's next moment for you as well, correct?
Yeah. Well, so pre-COVID, so the year running up, 2019 was probably the preparation was, again, for me, I won't go into it. I'll take too long getting around all this, but I had another God moment really that really confirmed for me that God was blessing what we were doing. Through 2019 that was when I did my first YouTube Academy. We called it a YouTube summer camp, and I expected this to be an online course. But actually, we had such fun. People enjoyed this. We did it as a cohort experience. So you come through it over 2 weeks, and I drip out training, and then we practice it, and I'm getting on daily lives, as you know. And we ran this in that summer. It's the first time I'd done anything like it. My pro video ran very different. And then I'd been through this, the first half of the year working with Ecamm, helping them out. We were looking at creating videos for them. They wanted some content for their customers. I'd said, again, just had this kind of gut feeling. I didn't just want to get paid for recording 40 videos for them. I wanted to own this product, and they could send people to it. And then so they're training up their customers without it costing them anything. And I was getting marketing coming in from them. And I got on so well with the guys at Ecamm, and still do. They're lovely people. And we've just created this great partnership. So 2019, I ran in the summer this YouTube Academy. In August, which is when Katie had only just come on board at Ecamm. Katie, the marketing director over there. We'd done our first Ecamm Academy. It was a big success. We went into 2020. And January of 2020, I run my second Ecamm Academy. I went out to San Diego to Social Media Marketing World with Ecamm to be on their booth there. And it was when we came back from that, the flight back was when everything was locking down. And that was pretty much that weekend. They were the last flights that were going around at the start of 2020. And it gave me an opportunity really to close off my photography business. All of that work stopped. Nobody wanted me coming out to do that. Made that a very easy decision because right here in front of me was, we used to run this Ecamm Academy. So for those that don't know, Ecamm Live is the software that's being used here that allows you to do live streaming. And all of a sudden Ecamm are inundated with all these customers that from churches that need to suddenly live stream their churches, or businesses that have got to get online, musicians that want to be able to do gigs on YouTube. How on earth do they do it? How do they hook cameras up? We were just we had a wait list to get in. We were stopping it at 200 people. We did one of our academies, and before we got to the end of it, that wait list was about 300 people in it. And Ecamm was saying to me, can we run this again? And we were literally back to back doing these academies. I think we probably did 6 that first year. So all of my friends, I'm walking the dog and meeting people across the street because we're not allowed to talk. And they're at home doing some decorating and locked in. And we've never been busier. And we were just... COVID for us was just this wave that we were riding. Ecamm led onto YouTube. Folk that had been through Ecamm were then saying, right, let's get you going on YouTube. So that led people into that. And the Pro Video Academy, everyone that's in those two wanted to get better on camera. So our business exploded. And I think a lot of people that have seen us through that season assume it had been like that for years. And here we are in this successful business. What you've just heard is the real story that not a lot of people know about, is actually we're only a few years, literally 2019, we're still struggling there. In fact, it was December 2018 when Rachel had said to me, when we get to the end of this year, can we say this isn't working? Can we make this the deadline at the end of the year? If this hasn't worked, can we just scrap it and go back to the photography? So it's that new, really. Although, yes, I've been here and I've been trying to do this. I really empathize with everybody that's trying to get a business, an online thing going, an online course, and struggling to sell it and get it out. We were in the right place at the right time, and what a blessing it was, not only for us, but for those that were needing it as well. You had so many people coming back saying, wow, I don't know what I'd have done if we hadn't come through your training.
Yes.
I do want to circle back to, because I think it's important, wherever you want to call messages that come from spirituality, we don't care where it comes from. So there was some message that you heard, because there's a hole here where it was really an all is lost moment. Everything looks completely black. And then you got some kind of a message again that just... So I think people need to hear that, if you'd be so kind.
Okay, yeah. I'm just conscious. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, but I guess that's
the point. This is about you. This is about you, Adrian. It's all about you.
I want to ask you something. Yeah, that's right. I'm not used to. Okay, so I just touched on it there. End of 2018 was really this point of it hadn't suddenly come, month by month. Rach is the one looking after the house, looking after the accounts, really, and keeps telling, I've got my head down working. She's the one saying this isn't working. We actually, we got to the end of, so Rach had said to me, can we say, come the end of this year, if this doesn't work, can we just accept that this is a bit of a dream? It's not going to happen. And bless her, she was my biggest supporter. So I'm not, don't want to hear that Rachel was negative with this. She was just being real. Bills aren't getting paid while I'm playing over here with this online course. So that was my goal, the end of December. And I'll never forget it. We were sitting there. We had a visiting preacher come to our church. We got a big church. There would be about 1,500 people in the auditorium twice on a Sunday morning. We happened to be about 3 rows back in the center because I like to be involved in the front there. And this speaker, she didn't know me. I'd never spoken to her before. We'd just sort of packing up at the end, and there she was. She'd come off the stage, come straight down to me, and she said, I had to come to you. I didn't want to lose you in the crowd. She said, God's told me to tell you that he's got your business. And he's going to bless you. There was more in this, but that was all I heard. And he's going to bless you through partnerships. And I just sobbed because we were days away from me walking away from this. And again, here I am with the most, other than God standing in front of me and going, look, I'm going to help you. This is going to work. Stick at it. I couldn't have had anything clearer than that. For me to go, God's put this on her heart, on her mind to come. She must have been looking at me and had a word to be able to say to me. She didn't go to anybody else. I hadn't heard her really doing that before. But it was awesome. And then, so as I say, then 2019, knowing that, I'm building up, I'm preparing. We then created our YouTube Academy and our eCam Academy. And it absolutely came true, really, that partnerships has been very much through eCam. They've been so huge to the growth of this business. Yeah. So yeah, there's my.
People need to hear that. It's no guarantee that it's going to work, but we also believe that there are messages that come from other than your logical thinking mind. That there are places that come from other places. Those messages, we believe, are really worth listening to because we think that is wisdom. Yeah. Who knows how it works? Doesn't matter how it works. Yeah. Because being an entrepreneur is no easy thing, and in fact, it's far harder than people would imagine.
It is.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, I think you're right, and I think whatever. I've always had, so because of that, really, and I think I've always had that gut feeling of this is what I'm going to do. This is going to work. And although I couldn't quite see it, there's just a determination that and a tenacity, really, that I'm going to do this. And I'm telling my friends, this is what I'm going to do. And although they were week by week, so how's it going? Have you got any customers yet? I was just like, this is going to work. I'm going to prove you all wrong. And I think, again, that you got to get in this. And I think that was, part of me is pleased that it wasn't an instant success because I'm able to relate a lot better to people now that are struggling getting going. I've got customers that I'm talking to in my academies that are saying, look, I've had this thing for a couple of years and I haven't actually made any money out of it yet. And because they're sort of floating between the day job and trying to do this hustle on the side. And I can kind of relate to those things now. So while I didn't like it at the time, I think it's made me more relevant to people and to be able to help them. I don't regret it now. Now we're where we are. But it's not at the time. And I absolutely feel for anybody that is in there that is really struggling right now. I want to do this thing. I really feel called to this, or this is what lights me up. This is a gauge, I think, when you say to people, well, if money wasn't an object, what would you spend your time doing? Would you do this? Is it actually something that is a real passion that you would enjoy doing? And genuinely it is for me. If I won the lottery and had millions in the bank, I would absolutely still do this, would just take the pressure off of not having to ask people to pay for it. But there you go.
You're too much of a nice guy, it seems.
Well, but it's your purpose, isn't it? It's what lights you up, really. And
yes.
Yeah.
Adrian, so you just touched on it. You mentioned a few words like tenacity. What does it take to, in your view, to really pull this through? When you think of the life of an entrepreneur, what does it take?
Yeah. It does take that real kind of knowing or desire to be able to go, just that determination. This is what I'm going to do. Not having other options, or not having so many options available to you that, oh, I'll try it and it'd be nice to do, but actually to really go, no, this is it. This is part of my identity. It's what I want to do. I want to serve, I want to help, and I want to get out here. What I didn't have and felt that I really struggled with was kind of community, peers that I could work with. There was some in that eCam community that certainly, we were from the UK and we'd created our own little Facebook group over here for BBD UK type thing, and we got on really well. But again, we were all struggling at the time. There wasn't anyone really who was that bit further ahead that I could go, right, I want to talk to you, who was just a little bit further along in the journey, but not so far ahead that it felt a bit unreachable. And I think that's what I'm trying to create very much in my Kajabi Academy is really trying, and within our, the BBD calls and things we're doing, I want to be that person who's a few years ahead really, and be able to encourage, where I can see you coming up, not you, when I can see customers that are coming up and I'm hearing it and I'm going, yep, been there. I know exactly what's going through your mind and what you need to do to get through this stage, and just having some accountability that you can say, right, okay, in the next month, what are you going to do? In the next 3 months, what are you going to do? What are your goals? Let's really focus on that and go for it. And it's lonely. It's we all want this. What is it they say? I won't get it right if I say it. We kind of do. We work 7 days a week to have this, this lifestyle that's meant to be 2 days a week kind of thing. We're all trying to be these entrepreneurs. We're chasing down this dream where we can do our 4-hour work weeks, and actually, it's a lot of hard work. And you're really getting in here. The hustle, you've got to be prepared to stick the hours in and do the work. And I know James and others very much say, it's about building team and yeah, you got to, most people starting out, you've just got to get in there and do every job and make this thing happen, and just know that it's going to get easier. And it does, for sure.
And that's where I want to just dig in a little deeper, because I know that there are entrepreneurs in our audience, and most likely also those who want to become entrepreneurs, who are just starting out from scratch. So what are the most important lessons, as we are reaching the hour here, what are the most important lessons that you've learned, and what tips do you have for someone who's just starting out?
Yeah. I would, and probably different to what others will tell you. As you can see, I'm all about serving, and I'm a big believer in putting stuff out for free. There's a lot of others who would say, and I've been told by plenty, I give way too much away. People aren't going to buy because you're giving it all away on YouTube and things. I think what's important starting out, and where I see people go wrong, it's not necessarily about the product that you've got, it's that you haven't got an audience there. And I would really encourage people to try and build up an audience first. And for me, that has been very much around YouTube. For others, it might be on LinkedIn, it might be on Instagram. You might do a podcast, it might be a blog, building up a following really, and getting an audience of people that actually you can then go back to and say, when we hear these stories of these overnight successes, we all know that's not a real thing. But what you don't see is that these people typically have been serving, working away, giving a lot of free stuff away in the background, maybe in-person contacts they've been working with, or speaking. So when actually they go, I'm going to create a course, there's thousands of people that are going, yeah, about time. So I would definitely encourage anybody, rather than going and building a course, trying to sell it, if you can build up this community first, know that there's an audience there that actually want what you're going to do, and test it, give a lot away for free, and people will, there's ways of doing it. We do what we call lead magnets. So if you are watching a video and we recommend a download at the end, well, then you're giving your email address at that point. And then once you're on an email list, we can very softly introduce other things to you and mention a webinar or something like that. So yeah, that would be my take on this. Is I don't think you can give too much away, really. I think people will always, there's that reciprocity that someone goes, it's about time you asked me to pay for something. I've had so much from you. It becomes such an easy sell by the time you get to that.
People are asking right now, how long do you think it takes? I know that you can't be specific, but I'm sure people are asking this question. How long would I have to keep giving stuff away to build an audience? What's your thoughts about how long it takes?
I don't know that there's a definite answer to that. I think in different, for instance, if right now you decided you were going to, is there something that's real, like we've been talking about COVID, and people needing to get online and do these things, there's a definite need there. There's people that want to be able to pay for things. If you were going to say, right, well, I'm going to show people how to use their iPhone and look good on camera or something, it wouldn't take long to build up an audience doing something like that. Depending on how you do it and what that, if you were getting into podcasting, for instance, then you started going after some big players and you thought, right, we want to get these people on our show so that we get in front of their audiences. It can scale quick. How much energy you put into it, how skillful you are at doing that, really. But I think putting content out, yeah, certainly when I talk YouTube, you've got to be in it for the long run. Those YouTube videos are still relevant years later. It's not like a Facebook ad or something that as soon as you stop, it disappears. And again, there's a lot of skill in that, making sure you're putting the right thumbnails, the right titles and things that are actually getting seen by people. There's a lot of folk who we've encouraged to do YouTube channels that have said, just doesn't work for me. And when I look at their channel, I say, yeah, but how is anyone ever going to find that video with that title? And so I would, in reality, I think you would struggle to do this in a year, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah. So a lot of people like the idea of starting a YouTube channel. And since we consider you the go-to person about YouTube, so tell us what it takes to start your YouTube channel and your thoughts about it.
It's very simple, really. It's free to set up a YouTube channel. You could set one up in a day. You could set one up in a few hours, to be honest. The challenge is getting the right videos. And so, an audience, so me, for instance, talking to folk who, yeah, let's look at my kind of impact. I'm helping people do the kind of thing that you're doing here. I have to get in. I'm not just going to go making videos, how to look better on, well, I could do one on how to look better on camera. That's probably not what somebody's searching for. What I've realized, and this is really what we're, the heart of what we do in our YouTube Academy, is getting down to if I look at you, what are you searching for? What kind of things are you going to Google for? And it's more likely to be that you're wanting to know about a microphone or a camera, or you're struggling with lighting, or you're getting this echo. So I'm really trying to get in the mind of my customer. What is it they're actually going to Google and typing in? If you were a dog trainer, don't know why that came to my mind. If I make a video on, 5 ways to train your dog, it's too broad. If somebody's going, my dog barks every time I leave the house, that's a video title. What do I do, kind of thing? Or how do I get my dog to sit? How do I get my dog to listen to me? Whatever. So for me, it's all about those how-to videos and review videos. They're the 2 main videos that I encourage people to do, and really try and get as narrow as you can. So if you're already working with customers, talk to them. What were your pains? What was it you were really struggling with? What were the kind of things that you were going to Google, typing in, trying to get an answer for? So reviews are a big one. Somebody talks about, oh, you should be using this camera. Oh, well, let me go and have a look at it. And that would be a classic of where you'd go to YouTube. If I can get in front of somebody, We had a customer last week, 2 weeks ago, who said to me, he was kind of joking, going, I'm surprised you caught me. I don't normally go for these things. But he said, I went onto YouTube because I'd got the microphone that I've done a review on here, this Shure MV7. He said, I watched your video. I saw a link in there to your impact training. He said, I went and had a look at it. And he said, here I am as a customer inside. So that's a classic of, I'm trying to serve. That's a need. He's struggling. He's got this new microphone. He can't get it to sound good. Finds my video that sets it up. He thinks I'm amazing. And then he's looking around. He's actually coming for me going, what else do you do? If I can get looking like that, I'm signing up.
And that's exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And this is exactly why we would say that people who are even thinking about starting a YouTube channel should really go to Adrian Salisbury's YouTube Academy, because there's a big difference between people who know a lot about a lot of stuff and a person who knows how to teach. And Adrian's a master teacher. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And you've got, I think, 100,000 people on your YouTube channel now, or is it? I don't know what your subscribers
almost
is.
130, yeah.
Almost 130,000 on your YouTube channel. Well, that's for a reason, because you're such a brilliant teacher. So is there anything, Adrian, this has been such a blast, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you really want our audience to know?
Oh dear, let me try and think of something good to end on. I would encourage, and I'm not saying this to come into my academy, I really would encourage people to start on YouTube. I think it's the best platform. You need to build an audience. Now, I say that, if you're wanting to, if for instance, you want to do a podcast, and I do think there's a lot of value and power in a podcast, you're getting we do a lot. There's a lot of talk about shorts, TikTok, things like this, that it's just that quick little soundbite. When someone's sitting listening to an hour's conversation with you on a regular basis, when they're looking forward to your podcast coming out, they're really building a connection with you. And it's the same on these videos. When I'm showing up and I'm doing a tutorial on YouTube, I'm serving, I'm helping somebody where they're at. They're then going off and watching other videos. I would start there, really have a go at this. And what is it that you can help and serve people with? And it doesn't have to, I'm obviously promoting looking great on camera. For example, I had to fix a sink in the house. I went onto YouTube because I was stuck on this bit that wouldn't go together. There's this guy kind of holding his phone, showing, well, I'll show you how to do this. And he's sort of doing this, it was awful. But I got my answer and I subscribed because I thought, thank you. And I'll have a look down and see what else you can help me fix around the house. So it doesn't have to be flash. I think it makes a big impression if you're teaching more business and things rather than, you don't want to, certainly don't want to be showing up trying to teach people how to do a seven-figure business on a really dodgy webcam. There's a disconnect. It doesn't look authentic. But yeah, I would encourage people, go for it. If you kind of really feel that this is what I want to do, there's no cost involved in YouTube setting up a channel. There's no kind of fees for it. Start making some videos, put them out there, study them, which ones are getting hits, which aren't. Study your competitors, okay, I thought I was doing a video on microphones. Let's have a look what other ones are really doing well and what is it about their videos. And maybe at that point you start going, okay, these all look professional. I need to up my game a bit here. But do that, really do that research before you go off trying to invest in a platform like Kajabi or something where you're then paying out. You can easily start paying a lot of money quick. You don't even need a website or anything like that to get started doing YouTube. Get some followers. If you can we talk about clustering around. So we might do a set of videos around equipment. And there is a central lead magnet that says, this is our equipment list. This is one of our most popular ways that people get onto our email list is they watch the videos that we're talking about. We say, right, well, this microphone here that we're setting up today is part of our equipment list. You can download that for free. There's a link in the description. that's when you start to then build this up. You start to get a few hundred people on an email list that you go, well, I know they're all interested in what I'm talking about. And then at that point, I'd much rather someone would come to me for help or, be in that position. We recommend Business by Design. As you've heard in my journey, it's been so instrumental for me. I think the world of James. Can't thank him enough for what he's done for us. And so I'm then able to say to my customers, look, he's helped me and I want him to help you. But I would much rather somebody came to that point, not going, well, I've got this idea. Yes, it's doable, but you've already paid a lot of money out at that point. You're then paying for other things. When someone comes and says, well, I've got 1,000 people on YouTube that have been interested in what I've been talking about, that's exciting. And then you can go, right, come on then, let's try and monetize this now.
And I would say, go and get education. I would say actually we did when we started our YouTube channel, we signed up for your education. I think to get some education and save you months and months and months and time and energy and everything to go and get an education. Yeah.
But the only thing I would add to that is I know a lot of people who go from course to course to course, and that someone says, oh, we should be in this program, so I'm going to go and sign up to that one now, and they become course junkies that just going around learning all the information and never actually selling and never actually putting it into action. So one of the things that I don't know if it was James or Pat, it was one of these guys that I remember saying years ago, find your guru and kind of stick to him, turn all the other noise off, because you can end up listening to 5 people's podcasts, other people's blogs, and they're all saying slightly different things. And you just end up in this spin, really. You're not actually doing anything. And I did exactly that. And I shut off a lot of these others and I went, right, James is who I've invested in. I'm going to stop listening to all these other podcasts. It doesn't have to be the right person. It's not to say one person is the right one. But actually, if you can stay focused on and just listen to one advisor. So yeah, I absolutely agree with getting education, but don't stay in that. Oh, I should be doing my business, but I've just got a really good book I want to go and read over here, that somebody recommended to me.
I'm so glad you clarified that point for me. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
I just wanted to say the same thing, Peter.
Oh, sorry.
Because we are also huge fans of Seth Godin, who always says, ship. It's better than overthink stuff. And so if you can just get your feet dirty, dip in the water, and then know what it's like, and then know I need the education. All right, Adrian, this was a blast. Thank you so much. And
that's been great.
I'm curious to see what your audience says, who will now have a little glimpse into your life.
That's right. They absolutely will. Yeah.
Right. Thank you,
Adrian. No one knows
Adrian.
this.
Thank you.
How did you get it out of me?
That's what we do.
Thanks ever so. That's been excellent. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed that.
Great. Thank you, Adrian.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, could you do us a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to our channel? It will help the channel grow and get more amazing guests like Adrian. To learn more about Adrian, head to Whatsnext.com/36, where we share links and more. Again, that's Whatsnext.com/36.
Thanks for joining us today. And please share this episode with someone you care about, someone who can use some inspiration about next steps in their lives. And if you are trying to figure out what's next for you, join us for one of our live online workshops where we teach how to successfully reinvent your career in midlife. To save your spot in our next workshop, go to Whatsnext.com/workshops. We'll see you there or for another episode here.